It'll be easier. All right, we are live. What's up, everybody? John Melton coming to you live with mylifestyleacademy.com. And we are doing another incredible, epic, super duper fantastic influencer interview. I've got two very successful network marketers, individuals that have actually been a father-son team. That's kind of cool, right? I hope my son one day gets involved in the network marketing profession. I would love that. But, this is an individual, specifically Tom, that has gone out and built $1 million business. And he has a really interesting story. In fact, he's an individual that I look up to because I've been sober now for 12 years. I know he's all about sobriety. He has a very similar story to myself where we would always make not the best decisions when we drank. And I think nowadays it's more so water and coffee. I would assume, Tom, that's what it is for me. But I just think it's so important for us to understand what it really takes to be successful in network marketing. Like, anybody can go out there and get lucky. Anybody can go out there and be at the right place at the right time and earn 6 figures. But to earn 7 figures, that's next level. And Tom and his wife, they've done just that. They built a 7-figure income inside of network marketing. But more importantly, they've been an inspiration for countless network marketers all over the world. And I know they have a very specific strategy with contact mapping that they teach. And I know they're going to be talking about that today. Adrian, Tom, really excited to have you guys on. Would love for you to introduce yourselves to everybody and talk a little bit about your story and how you both got involved in the industry. Adrian, I'm going to assume your dad had something to do with it. But I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit about your stories and getting started. And I know everybody's going to get a lot of value from this because we've got a lot of network marketers, online entrepreneurs. They want to do a better job of creating those connections, building those relationships, having conversations about their products, about their business. But I know at the same time, they don't want to come off as the typical network marketer with stinky commission breath. I know they want to be more intentional with their relationship building, with their prospecting efforts. So really excited to have you guys on and get started.
All right. Thank you, John. And hello, everybody. And here's my coffee cup, just so you have an idea. It says, I am a recovering alcoholic and a network marketer. Are you sure you really want to have a cup of coffee with me? Because I am everybody's worst enemy. So I have this coffee cup because I never get invited anywhere because that's what I do for a living and that's what my life is. But it's been a pretty doggone good deal. And what I want to talk to everybody about is being a great human being instead of a crazed multi-level marketer. And the reason I love John and Nadia is because they are such unbelievable, walk their talk. They're not riding on anybody's coattails. They built what they built. And the story about them out there in the industry is that they're the most hardworking, most integrous, fight for their team people you're ever going to want to be around. And people are jealous at them. They throw rocks at them. Why? Because they're at the top. And no one can figure out how they did it. And it was hard work. It was passion. It was loyalty. It was commitment. It was all of that. So, John, I just want to thank you not only for your sobriety and your contribution there, but for your contribution to this profession, showing people what it really is versus what the smoke and mirrors people try to tell us it is.
Right. Absolutely. And, you hit on some things that I think are so critical. It's the hard work piece, right? It's the loyalty. It's the integrity, doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left you. Right. And I think it's so important for us to show up as good humans first, marketers second. Right. That's what I always say. I think it's so true. And I think the people that typically struggle in network marketing, it's because all they're doing is they're very selfish. They're focused on themselves. And quite frankly, they always sell and they always prospect and they always recruit, and they can't figure out why they're not successful in recruiting and prospecting because they don't know how to have a real conversation with someone. And I think it's a skill that is actually kind of funny because it is something that you would think would be a basic human skill set, but it's not. For a lot of people, they struggle with how to talk to people, how to bring up the business, how to do it without feeling like they have an agenda. So I know that's something that you guys talk about quite a bit. So excited to hear about this concept of contact mapping. But before we even get into that, maybe you could talk, Tom, a little bit about the success you've had in the profession. How long have you been in the industry? I'm not even sure when you first got started.
You weren't born yet. I've been in the business so I've been around for over 30 years. I've been, that elusive 7-figure earner. There's a difference between my 7-figure earner and a lot of them, because there's some flash in the pan 1 year 7-figure earners, but it takes a serious organization, not me, a serious organization to generate $1 million a year after year after year after year. You
Right.
can't be a flash in the pan. The product can't be a flash in the pan. It takes a real big, strong group. And I have one of those. I've been doing it for 30 years. I've been in that 7-figure with my wife category for about the last 6 or 7. I was one of the founding guys of Eric Worre's GoPro $1 million Hall of Fame guys. And, it's been unbelievable. And I've done it the same way for 30 years that I did on my first day. Just exactly like Alcoholics Anonymous. I go to a meeting every day. I do that every single day of my life. And I do the same habits in network marketing every day that I did since the time I started. I've gotten a little better at it, but you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about the MLM breath, or however you said that. I hate looking at everybody like they're a prospect. That 3-4 rule of Mark Yarnell's, who was a dear friend of mine. That was the death of network marketing, because you don't throw up on everybody that you meet. You look at everybody that you meet as a human being, not as a prospect. And you look at them and you say to them, or you say to yourself, how can I have this person feel better having met me than when he got here? And you listen hard enough to those people to find out what they want out of their life and what they don't want out of their life. And then you drop them off right where they want to be, instead of where your agenda or your company sign-up game takes them. And if you can get that, you're going to build long-term relationships that people, when they finally do decide, and it will happen to almost everybody, that they want to take a crack at network marketing, they're going to look to you for your integrity and your class and everything that happened 5 years ago when you first prospected them, and you had enough dignity and respect for them to not run them off. You just loved them till they were ready. And that's kind of what we train, John.
I love that. Now, when someone's first getting started, though, because this will be the question, right? How do they get started so that they can create results, but at the same time, not be that typical MLM or turning people off? Would love for you to maybe elaborate on what you teach your team.
Okay. So basically, every day of my life, my benchmark is you interview 2 people a day.
Love that.
No matter what it is. So that's 14 a week. It's every day. And interview means interview. Find out what's going on in their life. You document that. And then you follow up on the touch points from that. So I've got touch points with John just from this conversation, 15 years sobriety, his marriage. I can touch point almost anything with anybody, but nobody follows up. They all quit after the first or second no. And they should have never even had any business asking the question, will you sign up in the first conversation anyway? And what we train new people to do is be good human beings and serve instead of take, and enroll instead of sign up, and show people that that you want to partner with them in life, not just be a transaction. I hate being a number in a transaction. That's eBay and eBay and Amazon.
Right.
I can be that there. That's the difference.
And maybe you could elaborate, because I know you have your strategy that I want you to talk about, and you have a new book out. Maybe you could talk about this interviewing process, what that looks like, what you've been doing for 30 years, which is, incredible that you've essentially been doing the same thing for 3 decades. You've just continued to improve along the way. I love that.
And you know what? It's easy to say that I was probably intuitively good at it, but that's not doing anybody that's watching your show right now any good.
Right.
My intuitiveness is worthless. If I can't duplicate it, don't do it. And what's so beautiful about it is my son came along, left corporate America at a high level, came home and said, Dad, what you've got needs to be told to the world in every area of life and business. and it's got to be duplicatable. Do you mind if I digitize you? So talk to him.
I love that.
And I think that's just the thing, John, is, you think about somebody who's getting started and they go, I don't have anybody to talk to. But no matter who you are, you can find 2 people to talk to every day. And you do that for a week and now you've got 14, and you do it for a month and now you've got 60. And if you have 60 people in a pipeline, by then people are going to start, you're going to find somebody who's looking for what you have. And we have shown people over and over again that by doing that, what develops is that you are creating this situation where you don't have to have that commission breath. You don't have to have that sense of desperation, because if I have 60 conversations going, I can have posture because there is somebody for me to follow up with if you don't want to talk to me right now. And so wherever you're starting from, whether you have a warm network or you don't, you can get there from here just by taking a baby step every day and learning to have a different conversation, which is what's inside of this book that we just put out on Amazon that you should talk about, because that's really the brainchild of what you have been doing over these 30 years that we turned into this book.
The book's called The Coffee Shop Interview. And so it's a bestseller in the Amazon store. And the only thing that is a stretch in that conversation is calling it a book, because it's $1 and it's only worth about 50 cents because it's 22 pages long. And it's basically an essay that I had in my head that these guys put to paper that changes everybody's life, because all of a sudden you're becoming interested instead of interesting. And you're figuring out what's in it for them instead of figuring out what's in it for you. And let's face it, with the ATM system and the unbelievable job that you people are doing, out of 100 people that you enroll in powerful conversation where they come into your business, 80 of them are going to probably be customers. 15 of them are going to be distributors that want a little discount on their product. And 4 or 5 cultivated right are going to be influencers that are going to build a business just exactly like you did. And you look at them and they say, well, how do I become a John Melton? You say, quite simple. You go out and you interview 1,000 people. 100 of them come into your business. 80 of them are customers. 15 of them are distributors. And 4 of them or 5 of them are influencers. So all you do is exactly what I did. And you look them right in the eye, and it becomes a culture. It becomes a system. It becomes duplicatable, just like that. You guys, you're not learning anything from me. I stalk you and Nadia. I'm learning from you. You guys did what I have always dreamt of doing. I've got one lumpy Tesla. What do you have now? About 5? Come on. What are we even do? Why are we interviewing me? It's insane.
Oh, that's great. Well, I would love for you guys maybe to talk about, what you're seeing nowadays, right? With everything going on in the world, right? Having to build a business from home. A lot of people have been building their businesses using technology, but you know what I'm saying? They're doing the Zooms, the FaceTime, the three-way call, which is great, but they were still probably sitting down with people face to face. So what are you seeing? Because I know you guys, you have an app, right? You guys obviously teach this interviewing process, but a lot of these conversations are probably happening online. They're happening through Messenger. They're happening through text message. But do you still get on the phone with every single person? Are you encouraging people to get with people in person, face to face? I'm assuming that's definitely a different conversation because of what we're all dealing with. So I would love for you to maybe elaborate a little on that with how you guys are teaching your teams.
Yeah, great question. So 2 things. One is that I think as we've seen network marketing sort of evolve to try to kind of come around to the times that we're in right now, one of the things that is driving me nuts personally, I don't know how many messages you get like this, John, but if I hear someone say "in these uncertain times" to me one more time, I'm going to jump off the side of this building, because there's like this new shorthand for whatever sort of like pitch that people are trying to get into. And so as soon as somebody says "in these uncertain times," I just feel like, okay, here comes the sales pitch. So right. The key is go and be a real human being. And, if you couldn't figure out what to talk to somebody about before, everybody's life is completely different as a result of what has happened. If you have a full-time job that pays you great, your life is still completely different as a result of what happened. If you have kids, your life is really, really different as a result of what's happened, as you can attest to as well, John. And so go and really be curious about somebody. And I'll let you talk about this. I think the closer you can get to a real conversation through Facebook video on Messenger, through Zoom, through FaceTime, whatever that is, I mean, the numbers just bear it out, right? That, you can spray and pray and you're going to have less than a 1% conversion. You can send an email, you're going to have 5 to 7%. You get on the phone with somebody and you're going to have a 30% conversion rate. So it really pays to get voice to voice, face to face with people, but you don't need to go sit physically with somebody to do that, right?
Well, I'll tell you this. I used to always say that if I sit down with someone face to face, my close ratio will be much higher, but I can't sit down with people face to face, right? I can't sit down with that many people face to face, and it's time consuming. So the one thing that I realized, and this was probably 6 or 7 years ago, that if I got on the phone with those individuals, it wouldn't be as good as sitting down face to face, but it was like the next best thing. And I still tell people today, if you're recruiting someone, I'm not talking about customers. If I'm trying to get a customer, I shouldn't need to get on the phone with them to sell them on buying the product. That's just my opinion. I add them to a group, I tag them in a video, share some testimonials, I follow up, I close business. But I'm not going to go out of my way to get on a phone call with someone that is only looking at the products. And most of my customers and most of my team's customers are coming from conversations via, Messenger or whatever, Facebook. But if I'm going to partner with somebody, it's not about the 200, 400, 900, whatever it is, because we get people on here from all these different network marketing companies, whatever the cost is. It's not about the cost to start the business. They're putting their reputation on the line. They're starting a business. They're looking at you as a mentor, a business partner. They're going to have to work with you. If you won't even get on the phone with them for 15, 20 minutes, why would they partner with you? And what's interesting is sometimes I'll offer to do the phone call and they don't want to do a phone call. They're like, no, if we just talk here on Messenger, that'd be cool. I mean, we could do a phone call, but maybe next week. And I close a lot of people through Messenger without ever getting on the phone, but at least I offer the phone call. I say, hey, if you want to hop on a call, we can talk about it. Some people want to, some people don't. But I think it's always something that those of you that are trying to build a team and maybe you're not closing as many people as you'd like, maybe you're having conversations with people about the business, but your close ratio sucks. Part of it could be you're not asking questions, the right questions. They don't feel a real connection or that you really care about them. We talked about that, but it could also be that they just don't believe or trust you yet. Hop on the phone, offer to do a phone call. The phone call doesn't need to be 2 hours. It could be literally 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you can get a lot accomplished in 15 to 20 minutes. So anyway, maybe you guys could talk a little bit about that, but I'd also like for you to talk, about the app as well, because I know we've talked about the app many times. Adrian, how many times have we tried to get on a phone call? Actually, which is a great example, right? But we're talking now. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the app in addition to what I just talked about.
Okay. So I was massively successful.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 years ago, when I got hooked up with Adrian, I finally found out why. And it was exactly the opposite of what I thought it was. I thought I learned all these skills from Eric and from Ray and from Rob Sperry and from Frazier and all these guys. But you know what? I did learn all those skills, and I know all those skills now. I've been trained by the best. But it had nothing to do with my success. My success was because of the radical self-inquiry I did, John, in Alcoholics Anonymous, where I walked in the door, a dead drunk alcoholic laying in the street, scared to death of myself and everyone, hated everybody in the room because I hated myself so bad. And I sat there in that chair with that book and those people, and they held me until I could actually feel like a human being. And all of a sudden I started doing radical self-inquiry into who Tom Chenault was and started sharing it with other people and becoming a better human being. And I started realizing that the people that I was not successful with in my life didn't trust me. They didn't think I loved them, and they didn't love me. They certainly didn't feel safe with me, and I didn't feel safe with them. And I certainly didn't feel like I belonged, and they didn't feel like they belonged with me. And when I handled that, where I became trustworthy, when I started loving them for the right reasons, when I started looking inside of myself as to why I was separated from them and whether or not I wanted them in my tribe and whether I wanted to be in their tribe, all of a sudden everything shifted. And now if I've got a break in belonging with somebody, John, I can look at those 4 factors: love, safe, trust, and belong. And if there's something missing in any one of those four things, the transaction doesn't happen. So instead of looking outwardly for a better product or better anything, I can look inward, figure out where that breakdown happened, and all of a sudden I can create a rapport with those people again, if I truly want it, that will never be broken. And when you're talking about obviously joining people with a click on an online business and thinking that you're going to build $1 million enduring business with no leaders and no communication, right, and none of that stuff going on, that's a myth. It's not going to happen. I don't care who you are. The big leaders in my business, I know their blood type. The big leaders in my business know that my eyes are popping open at 2 o'clock in the morning, thinking about their problems, because I know about their problems because I'm in their life. And if you want to make it network marketing, you got to just get rid of all that bullshit about you're reading from everybody else about it's like some sort of automated Autotron bot game. You got to give all that stuff up, look inside, say, I'm going to become a better person so I attract better people and I build a better tribe of better people. That's what the whole thing boils down to. And we have an app for that.
And we have an app for that. There you go. You got a solution for it. There you go. You just rub some salt in the wound there and go, boom, we got a solution. But before you talk about that, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I talk to my leaders, not every day, but all the time, right? Sometimes multiple times a day. And you're in the trenches with them. You care about them. You're not just talking to them about business either. Like, you're a human first, a marketer second. We say it all the time, but it's not just with prospects. It's not just in your videos. It's all the time. It's with all people, especially your key people. Look, if they know you care, there's much more likelihood of them pushing through and persevering through the tough times, because anybody can be happy and excited and feeling good when things are going well. But when the stuff hits the fan, one of their leaders leaves, the company's having issues, something happens, you'll find out real quickly how much your leadership, your influence, how much your relationships have been developed over time. A perfect example is when I had a company get shut down by the FTC in 2015. Like, that was terrifying. But because we had built all these relationships and because we truly cared about people and we've been pouring into our network for so many years, we immediately replaced our income. I mean, it was within 30 days, we were already back to where we were building a business for 2 years, like just almost instantaneously, because we had so much influence, because we built the relationships. And that's where sometimes people they don't understand the long game. They don't think about the long game. And I've been doing this long enough to recruit the same person. I've been doing this, it'll be 19 years next month. Wow. So I've had some people I've recruited over that 19-year period, probably 5-6 times, believe it or not. There's people in your business right now that are going to quit, that are going to come back around 3 years from now, re-recruit themselves, or you're going to re-recruit them, whatever. And they're going to go out there and do big things. It's really hard to think like that sometimes. But if you're in it for the long haul and you're playing the long game, I think it's paramount to have this perspective, because every interaction, every time you're having a conversation, everything you're doing is for the long term. It's not about what I make this week, this month. Like, who really cares what we make this week, this month, if 5 years from now we're able to quit our job, if we're able to walk away from the business that's stressing us out, we're working 100 hours a week. But it starts with you having an abundant mentality, long-term vision, and really caring about the human that you're supporting, that you're connecting with. And there's going to be some people, real quick, just by you asking questions and you build that connection, you're going to find out real quick that there's some people that you're glad you asked questions, because you're going to figure out real quick, I don't want that person in my business. This is not the person that I thought they were. And then also, after we talk about the contact mapping, I would love for you to also talk about how much of an impact making the decision to go sober was for you, Tom. I don't know how many years it's been. I don't know if you mentioned that, but I think didn't you tell me one time you were like 40? Because I turned 40 in October. So I think you were sober since 40 years old. Is that right?
No, 37. I've been sober since 1988.
Wow. 1988. Well, congratulations. That's freaking incredible.
We'll talk about that. I want to say one thing. So when I first saw you, I'm not exactly Jack LaLanne. And here you were, this skinny guy, and you had this beautiful wife, and you were ripping the cover off the ball. So I immediately hated you. So then I started looking at the way you do your business, and I hated you more because you were so fabulously successful, and I wish I would have thought of that. So then I ran into Michelle Barnes, and she told me who you really are, about your integrity, about your work ethic, and all that. Because you guys are partners, and partners know each other. It isn't some guy she's talking to on the internet or some couple she's talking to on the internet. You are human beings she's in the foxhole with.
Yes.
And you two have done unbelievably big things together.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what you want people talking about you behind your back about. That person is so committed to me that he talks to total strangers about how great I am, instead of this little game of shooting each other. So I wanted to talk about that because I love you, and I have unbelievable respect for you. And I needed to clean up the bad karma of the being so jealous of your physique and your wife and all that shit. So go ahead.
I said in the copy when I was promoting this interview, I said he is one of the funniest people. In fact, so I'm a big fan of, I love events, but I also have the personality, and this is why I drank a lot, is because I get bored easily. And my favorite trainers when I first got involved in network marketing were funny ones. I still remember their jokes. I don't remember all the good stuff they taught, but I do remember their good jokes. Yeah. And I call it entertainment. And those were always the speakers. I want to laugh. I want to have a good time. I'd be on the edge of my seat, just waiting for the next punchline, waiting for the next joke. There's still leaders that I'll look up their YouTube videos that are super old, and I'll watch them just because I'm like, oh, there's another zinger. I'm going to steal that, right? That's where we get all our good stuff from, right? But you're one of the funnier ones. Like, I remember seeing you speak for the first time at, I think it was GoPro, actually, which that has to be the only one because that's the only generic event I've been to. But you spoke on stage. I'm like, dude, this is a guy I got to have a conversation with and a relationship with, because, obviously you have wisdom, years of experience, years of success, failure, all the things. But you have a very good sense of humor. And those are the speakers I always get the most out of, because I want to have a good time. I get bored, right? Anyway, sorry to go on a,
otherwise we can go to the library. Let's go here. So tell them why you did what you're doing, because it's important.
Yeah. So you look at this guy, and he's kind of crazy. He's hilarious. He clearly has there's no filter between here and here. That just whatever goes through that brain comes out of his mouth. And yet he's been able to create all this success. Mm-hmm. And I've had a front row seat to how did that actually happen as his son. And how it actually happened is that he really, really cares about people. Mm-hmm. And how it happened is that he really shows up. And for so many of us, we want to overcomplicate it. We want it to be all these sort of things. And what I realize is that everything about him comes down to two things. It comes down to showing up consistently every single day and talking to people. And it comes down to having a place to capture that stuff. And when you just do those two things and follow up, that's all it takes. That's how you recruit the same person 5 times over the course of a career in network marketing, is because you're the kind of person that they want to join in because you've built that real relationship. And that's who he is. And so he's always had this kind of duct tape together way that he has done it, that he's told people about. And he's an open book about how he does it, but it was, he's a hot mess. And so everybody goes, well, that's great for you, but I couldn't do that. But the principles of what he did are so beautifully simple that we took that, and that was how contact mapping was born. And so we took his daily activities of talking to new people every day, of remembering their stories, of setting reminders to follow up, and having this living, breathing database of a network where you go, I need somebody who can help me with this. I'm going to call Tom Chenault, because I guarantee you, he doesn't even live in my town, but he probably knows somebody in my town that can fix my car, because he's that kind of person. And there's nothing special about him that allowed him to do that, other than just sticking with it and having a little system that allowed him to do it. And so that's really what contact mapping is. And the second ingredient to that is that being a good person, because if you don't have that, then it might work for a little while, but it's not going to work. And so we created a community around contact mapping that is a place for people to come and live with us and to learn these principles and these skills and how to show up differently in the world to get the kind of results that they're looking for. So that's really
and if somebody wanted to check out the app, they're like, okay, so what is it? How do I get to it? And I know you guys made it like super affordable too. How would they get the info on that?
Yeah, totally. So actually, I don't even know if you knew this yet, John, but we created a forever free version of contact mapping. So you can you can download it on the App Store or the Play Store. No credit card required. You can jump right in there and dive in and start playing around with it, which is super exciting. Mm-hmm. And we have a premium plan. And so the premium plan gives you a Facebook Messenger integration. So for all of our contact mapping, all of our network marketing friends who are doing so much of their stuff through Facebook Messenger, there's an integration there. There's a desktop Chrome extension that you can use it on your computer too. So when you're like cranking, you can put notes in and you can actually like one click to grab a conversation from Facebook and put it into your contact mapping. So all that stuff lives inside the premium, and all that plus a special community that comes with that. That's only $30 a month. So we've still kept it really affordable even at that premium level.
No, that's awesome. So then there's a free option too, so they can try to test it out. What's the so what do they do? They just search contact mapping on Droid or iPhone?
Yeah, they can do it that way, or you can just go to contactmapping.com and it's really easy to get it from there too.
Perfect. Contactmapping.com or the app. Love it. Very cool. And then Tom, could you talk a little bit about your, so I didn't know it's been that long you've been sober. So hold on a second. Does that mean you were not even in network marketing?
I was a drunken airplane salesman.
Ah, okay.
I got hired as an airplane salesman for drinking too much, because you're not supposed to fly airplanes drunk.
I didn't know that.
It took them a week to find me, to fire me, of which I'm quite proud. Because I had their airplane and I was flying it all over Montana, and they finally caught me in Kalispell and fired me, a guy named Ernie Reese. And I still look for Ernie Reese because I want to come and just laugh at him, because he told me I was a drunken loser, and he was right. But
he was right. Yeah.
So I came home and became a stockbroker, and I was really good at becoming a stockbroker. And in 1988, my income as a stockbroker was $877,000. So I sobered up in 88, and in 89, I figured out how much money I spent, and I had spent more than that, and I was broke. And so here I was, literally standing in the street, and no place to go, and a piece of paper fell out of a newspaper machine, and it said unlimited income, no background check, no credit check. And I called the number, and it was multi-level marketing, and it's just God, because I swore I would never be, I was a highfalutin stockbroker. I was not going to be a multi-level marketer, but God had other better plans for me. And the next thing I knew, I was one. And I was in a company that sold skincare kits, and I was off to the races and played that sign-up game and threw up on people in every direction, and finally realized that wasn't for me. I wanted to treat people like human beings, and I reinvented myself, and the rest is history. I've been really, really fortunate. I've been able to spend a lot of time with alcoholics and drug addicts and helping them, and using the same skills in network marketing in AA, and the same skills in AA in network marketing. And now I'm using the same skills in AA network marketing and contact mapping. And my life is the most congruent, happy, purposeful life on the planet. And I get to work with my son. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And 2 DUIs. What got me into AA was 2 DUIs and 2 disturbing the pieces in 1 month. So that was a bad month. So I went to court finally on the 4th one, and the guy goes, "Where's your client?" And I go, "I am the client, pal." And he looked at my driver's license. The judge didn't. My record. He just couldn't. The judge looked at me with my suit on, coming from my brokerage job on my 4th infraction in the month. And he looked at me like this and goes, "What is wrong with you?" and I go, "Everything, sir." And I started crying, and I finally sobered up, and here I am. So that's it.
It's amazing how that one little decision permanently impacts so many other thousands and thousands of people. And I'm just so grateful. I did same thing. I mean,
just for one more second.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
I've been all over the world, traveling every corner of this planet as a result of network marketing in my great life. Russia, Argentina, and everywhere I go to an AA meeting. And everywhere I go, if it's a company function, I set up an AA meeting. Eric Worre, I call him on the phone. "Can I have a room for AA?" A&MP Garrett McGrath, can I have a room for AA? So, because I know that it is needed. And here we are in this pandemic, which is everybody's freaking out. And the gift of my life in the pandemic has been Zoom and AA meetings on Zoom, because I've been able to pull all my friends from all over the world that are trying to get sober or are sober and trying to continue it. And now we meet every morning at this giant AA meeting full of multi-level marketing misfits. And it is the greatest 1 hour of my life. And I just wanted to thank the pandemic for that, because it would have never happened. We would have all been in our smoke-filled, sweat-smelling rooms in our own town. Instead, we're all on online together on Zoom, and it's just beautiful and magic, John. So I just wanted to give a shout out.
How many people?
How fortunate I feel.
How many people get on it every morning?
Somewhere every day, 7 days a week, somewhere between 30 and 40. And it is, and sometimes
That's all.
hundreds. I mean, it's just amazing to me. And we've all got
That's
no
cool.
leaders. We've all got the common problem. And I'm the most blessed guy you're ever going to want to meet in your life.
That's so fantastic. And it's amazing. Again, one decision can change everything.
Yeah.
Joining a network marketing business, going to AA, making a decision. When I quit drinking, man, I was, it's interesting. I heard someone say one time, you're an alcoholic if someone tells you that if you never drank again, you feel like your life is over. And myself, because I didn't feel like I was an alcoholic. I just drank on the weekend and partied and, did that whole thing. But I remember when I first decided to quit drinking, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Like, basically, I have nothing else to do. I'm never going to have fun again. I'm never going to be able to hang out with my friends again. And that was all bullshit, right? But that was the story in my head. That was the only way I could have fun. And it's funny because I do this annual guys trip, which I'm actually leaving Thursday for our annual guys trip. And they all still drink, and sometimes they get blacked out, wasted. And I'm the sober guy. I don't drink anything. I drink O'Doul's, actually. I do drink O'Doul's, which is non-alcoholic. I think if you have 6 of them, it's like 1 light beer. But I don't know. I just, I don't drink 6 of them. But the point is, I'm always the guy that has to do the designated driving. I'm always the guy that has to tell them all the stupid things they did and said the night before, right? And they're always like, oh, man, I'm just so proud of you. I wish I could do that. And it's funny because they could. But ultimately, they don't realize how big of a problem it is and how much it holds them back. And of course, I try to give them my little speech. But I've been 12 years sober, and it was tough in the beginning. But once you get used to it, you're like, what was I thinking? Why did I believe that was the only way I could have fun? You can have so much more fun being a dad, being a network marketer, having real conversations that you remember the next day, and you're not just saying things because you have liquid courage. Anyway, I think it's probably the one great decision I made outside of joining network marketing, mostly because getting into network marketing didn't just change my life from a personal development standpoint and financially, but I also met Nadia. So Nadia and I met in the network marketing profession, and she'll tell you, she'll be the first one to say, if John didn't quit drinking, we wouldn't be together today, which terrifies me. But it's true. I was just one of those guys. Sounds like, Tom, you and I would have had some fun. But the truth is, did not make good decisions. I would always drink until there was no more to drink, or I'd black out, or it wasn't. I always got jealous of my friends that could drink 2 drinks, and that they were done. They knew, like, I got to stop. I was like 2 cases. So anyway, I think it's so important that you're continuing to share and spread that message of sobriety. Network marketing is great, but if you're getting wasted and you're acting a fool, you're never going to be successful. Not just in network marketing, but in life. And, this is really our lives. And this is what matters most. The money, sure, making a lot of money is cool, but not if you don't have healthy relationships, and not if you have these horrible addictions that you can't kick. So I think it's so important for all of us to understand the value in making a decision. And it's scary, it's tough. But some of you are watching this right now, and even if it's just one person that makes a decision to reach out to Tom and be a part of AA, or decide to reach out and get connected with contact mapping in their community, these little decisions define our life. So I just wanted to end with that. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to say before we wrap up. I know you have another interview, but you guys being on here.
Love like crazy, then love more. That's all. That's what we do. And if you can do that, you're going to be successful at that, and forget everything else, you guys. Fire your brain, hire your hearts. Thank you.
Love it. Bye, guys. Appreciate you having me on. Guys, smash that hard button if you got some value from this conversation, and feel free to share and tag some teammates. We're out here, guys.
See ya.
Bye.